Hey guys, it's Zima here, and you're watching Tyrant's Legendary Guide for Halo 2. This week you're going to be cutting through the Flood to catch the Heretic leader in the mission Oracle.
What is it? That stench. I've smelled it before.
What's going on, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Tyrant's Legendary Guide for Halo 2. Today we are doing the mission Oracle. Dreaded mission, might I add, or as I like to call it, Arbiter Part 2, because this is basically a continuation of the previous mission, and your weapons even carry over. But this is assuming that you are starting from scratch. My first recommendation is you use your sword to destroy these Flood combat form bodies, which prevent them from being resurrected later.
What happened here?
I also recommend taking your plasma rifle and picking up a carbine, though I would take your plasma rifle first and give it to the shipmaster. He needs to get rid of his sword because he gets a little bit forecappy with that thing. I cannot tell you how many times I have been team killed by this guy in this room. Pick up a sentinel beam as well to kill the infection flood. I'm going to see if I can try to give this guy a sword to use in the later battle. See if that'll help him a little bit. May or may not.
You must be close. Come out so we may kill you.
And by the way, that is the heretic leader behind me, flapping his mandibles as usual. And it is a hollow drone, which we'll be getting up close and personal with later on.
Leader, stand firm. The Flood.
And as you can see, the Flood are upon us. In this mission, you'll be primarily fighting heretic grunts and elites once again. Sentinels make their return. And the Flood make their dramatic Halo return to the series. That, of course, is a little bit of sarcasm there because this was pretty anticlimactic. Your buddy elites will be accompanying you for the next battle. They are far more useful than Marines. Not only do they have shields, but they wield plasma grenades as well. Let that dual wielder keep his weapons. They are very effective, particularly against Sentinels.
What have they done?
Now, when you hear him say, "What have they done?" that means the doors have opened. Get your sword ready and go into the elevator platform room, where the Sentinels and the Flood will already be at it. Go ahead and destroy the Flood. Your elites will be pretty decent about destroying the Sentinels, although you're going to need to help them in a second. I almost got team killed again, son of a bitch. And the Sentinels be dropping down from these columns right here, as well as the Flood. My recommendation here is that you stay ahead of the curve by taking out the Flood as they crawl up, or I should say as they stand on the topmost platform here, before they drop down. That'll help keep your allies alive and the Flood off your back. They always pop up from those two locations. Just like in Halo 3, they can be headshotted by taking one shot with a carbine, or later on a battle rifle, not in this mission, to the chest cavity where their infection form is placed. So that is pretty cool. You can headshot the Flood as long as they are not shielded. And in this mission, they are not shielded. So again, keep an eye on both of these, I guess, passageways. Fill up on carbine ammo, because you'll be needing a lot of it. It's really good with dealing with Sentinels, and again, you can headshot the Flood pretty easily. This battle is pretty much unskippable, even though the platforms could theoretically take you down to the bottom level. If you go down too far, an invisible death barrier will kill you. Now, I like to use the cloak whenever I see a Flood armed with a plasma weapon, just to keep my shields up a little bit, get the drop on them. The cloak is far more useful than the Master Chief's flashlight, which of course As you know, we are trading out for the Envy Skull in the Master Chief missions. I primarily use it just to buy myself a few seconds, recharge my shields, get into cover, gather myself a little bit, take a few more sips of beer, because this mission definitely calls for it. It is one of the 3 hardest missions in the game. Not only is it difficult, but it has a boss battle at the end of it. Talk about inconsistency. But more on that later. Now, if you went through Arbiter and you left with an empty energy sword, you could actually enter this mission with a infinite energy sword, even though it would appear that you do not have one. But it is not necessary. There is plenty of sword ammo here. And a sword and carbine is pretty much all you need throughout this entire mission. Now, at this point, the Sentinels show up. You want to successfully make it to this battle. Well, that should be obvious. But once you do, the elevator will descend again. And at this point, you actually have the option of skipping the rest of the battle. It has been recommended to me that you try to protect your elites as long as you can, but honestly, at this point, they really don't help you that much in the next battle. It doesn't make a huge difference. It just makes it a little bit quicker. So jump down on this little ledge here, and down to the platform. Cloak yourself about here to avoid the 2 flood combat forms that rush out. Pick up additional carbine ammo at the end of the corridor. And enter the next flood wave battle. This one introduces carrier forms. Now, unlike in Halo 1 and 3, sticking these guys with a plasma grenade will not prevent them from dispersing flood infection forms. It just tosses them around. It sucks. So the best you can do is just knock them over and let them multiply. Now watch here, because you're going to have 2 combat forms that drop from the ceiling. There's 1 and there's 2. And he got away from me. Sometimes they'll attack you, sometimes they'll just go right in for the kill. I like to allow the Heretics and the Flood to kill each other as much as they can, just to kind of alleviate the pressure from me. If you manage to headshot a Flood, even though they can be resurrected by Infection Flood, as far as I know, they cannot pick up their weapons again. So at the very least, you are now fighting Flood with no ranged capabilities. But my recommendation is you try to clear out this room as much as possible before you jump down, because you will not be able to get back up unless you sword lunge properly up here, which is not only complicated, but relatively pointless. In other words, it's more trouble than it's worth. On the bottom, you have another full energy sword, even though we have almost our entire energy sword still from the previous battle. And you have additional carbine ammo. Literally, just laying all over the place. Now, I didn't stick him, but the explosion is powerful enough to basically chop him up. And that's another good reason to attack Flood combat forms with the energy sword when you can, because you'll chop them up, which means they cannot be resurrected. The sword rocks, even in comparison to the Halo 1 shotgun. I'd say the Halo 2 Flood are more of an annoyance than a real nightmare. Although, I will say that the Halo 2 Flood can wield just about any weapon in the game, including a sniper rifle, which they could not do in Halo 1. They can also wield homing rocket launchers. Lord, if they were not overpowered enough as it is. So we're going to jump down now. I think I got him. I saw the armor fall. Even though he tried to jump my ass. Can't say that I blame him. Ugh. So, we're going to try to get around these... Oh, there he is. These guys are just annoying as hell. So, shoot him with the carbine. Once you've cleared out the first room, the second wave will arrive. This contains both Flood and Heretics on the upper level. Let them kill each other. Now, I've found that this is the best place in the room to be because it is the least opposition that you're going to face, particularly from any enemies with ranged attacks. So it's just a matter of going back and forth. You'll face the least amount of opposition at the far end near the door where you're going to eventually exit. Now, you can hear them fighting up top. At least 2 heretic elites are going to drop down. I see him just kind of hiding over there. He can't shoot me from here. Don't worry. Eventually, the Flood are going to show up, and they're going to hand his ass to him. Again, for the most part, just let the Flood and the Heretics fight, and then mop up what's ever left. This will help you immensely. There's a lot of combat forms over here, so we're going to probably end up taking advantage of our cloak quite a bit. We're going to headshot these guys because I would not recommend trying to get into a melee fight with more than 1 combat form at a time. 1 melee will almost take down your shields entirely. 2 right in a row will kill you. Also, I highly recommend using your camo when you can. Whenever you're under fire, immediately try to duck into cover and cloak yourself so they'll avoid you. And also chop up the bodies, because this will prevent them from getting resurrected later. Basically, you're just trying to avoid getting gangbanged here. That is going to be your biggest threat. So this guy has a plasma rifle, so I'm going to go ahead and cloak myself and engage him first. Looks like there's another guy here with a needler. Again, use the columns for cover. Keep a close eye on your radar here. It looks like we've got a Flood combat form with a carbine. We're going to make him a top priority because he can shoot you from medium range. That guy had a sentinel beam. Again, just take them one at a time. Use the columns to your advantage. And whenever you start taking any fire, cloak yourself and let at least one of them charge your location, because you can beat them at close range without any real major issues. And I think I just got a triple kill there. That's freaking awesome. Just try not to get surrounded. Now, the enemies aren't spawning in anymore, which means there's probably just 1 or 2 left. Once you've killed them, at this point, the back door should open. And that is what she said. And at which point, 2 heretic elites and 2 grunts will arrive on the scene. One of the grunts, well, both grunts have needlers. In fact, I think all heretic grunts have needlers. The elites, there should be 1 with a carbine, 1 with a sentinel beam. They're going to set up plasma turrets at the far end to help deal with the Flood carriers and infection forms that are going to attack them. Do not engage the Flood. Let the heretics do it for you. And then take out the heretics from across the room, or at least the grunts. Now, one method I love using for the heretics is cloaking myself and throwing a plasma grenade, at least for the elites. 1 stick does the trick. Go ahead and take out the grunts from here. Because we don't have a simple noob combo here, you know, plasma pistols are kind of hard to find in this mission. They're sort of sporadic, so I don't like to rely on them like I do in the other missions. So basically, the cloak and stick is the best way to take out these heretic elites. So we're going to grab a fresh energy sword since we're down to 30% on the other one. You do not have to necessarily clear this room, but I like to just so I can take my time to load up on all sorts of ammo. Makes my life a little bit easier in the long run. So the room is now empty. Load up on carbine ammo. Gonna see if there's any more grenades laying around. I think we got them all. And go ahead and enter the airlock. Now those were the 2 toughest battles in the mission, and at least in my opinion, probably the 2 toughest battles in the game, or at least among them.
Leader, the storm is about to hit.
So if you can make it past those, the rest of the mission is relatively simple, except for the boss battle. Things get a little bit crazy there, but we'll get to it when we do. Now your ally Phantom's going to show up and is pretty much going to wipe this bridge clean with its plasma guns. You're going to have a few reinforcements land, 2 grunts, 2 elites, just like you started out with. The grunts, of course, are probably not going to last very long. Your allies are not that important here, but I do recommend trying to keep them alive as long as possible. You could go either left or right. I choose to go left just to avoid those other 2 grunts. Over here, you're going to have 2 elites emerge and 2 grunts. You've got plenty of cover here, and I think one of our elites just died. Oh, you poor son of a bitch.
Take cover.
We're going to try to down as many... Oh, man, he just got headshotted too. That's why you don't stand out in the open, buddy. So I'm going to see if I can sneak up on this Heretic elite with an energy sword. I think there's a grunt over there too. Where are you, buddy? Alright, so cloak yourself. Easy assassination. Ascend the ramp. There's going to be more heretics on the other side. They're a little bit further out, though. Now, I like to backtrack immediately. Again, keep an eye on your radar. Your radar is your best friend in this mission. When you go too far here, 3 sentinels are going to show up, so engage them immediately to make sure that you can preserve your shields and also keep your allies alive.
Stand fast.
I'm going to cloak myself and go ahead and try to land this assassination. Got him. So that means 3 sentinels are going to show up now. Take them out before they even reach you. Huh, I guess my elite finished him off. Oh, nope. There he is. I knew my allies couldn't be trusted. I cannot tell you how many times I have been team killed by these sons of bitches in this mission. So when you approach this, 2 elites and another couple of grunts are going to emerge from the doorway. Cloak yourself, stick at least one of them. That way you only have 1 to deal with. The grunts are easy as pie. Or maybe I should say as easy as your mother. There we go. Easy assassination there. Again, we're just going to load up on ammo here. Now, when you enter this room, the Flood and the Sentinels are going to be combating again as the Heretic leader runs. No, you cannot kill him at this point. Arbitrary invincibility. Gotta love it. So clear this room. That will trigger the cutscene. Got all that work and you got killed by an infection form. Sorry, son of a bitch. So there should be another one lingering around here somewhere because the cutscene did not trigger yet. Yep, there he is. See ya!
This will save me from the storm, but you will be consumed.
I saw that storm. I don't think you're any safer than I am.
Where is he? Stinking floodbait boxed himself in tight. We'll never break through this.
Oh, I'm a glass half full kind of guy. You should know that.
The cable. I'm going to cut it. Get everyone back to the ships.
Personally, I'd like to know how he knows that he can cut the cable. That looks pretty thick to me. Almost as thick as my... Okay, anyway. So, ascend the ramp. Once you approach the 3rd floor, a bunch of Flood are going to emerge. One of them has an energy sword, so you want to avoid this guy. Cloak yourself about here and just run. Try to let the Sentinels and the Flood engage each other. That means that they will not be focused so much on you. Quickly get to the top platform and activate the elevator. This will take you to the cable room where you will be forced to cut 3 cables with your energy sword. If you do not have an energy sword right now, fear not, because there are 3 full ones up there. Like I said, they are very plentiful in this mission. So right around here, cloak yourself again to try to avoid any enemy fire, and god damn it. There we go. Now, if you're taking too much fire when you stop at one of the cables, Don't stop and cut the cable. Move to the next one. Give the Flood and Sentinels time to engage each other, then they'll pretty much ignore you. And that's basically what you want to do. So again, keep an eye on your radar, make sure that nothing's advancing on your location, and be quick about these cables. The first two are the hardest. Once you get the third one cut, literally everything just stops attacking you. It's like they all just stopped and said, "What?"
That's one. By the prophets, look at the station list.
So these first two are the most complicated ones. Again, cloak yourself where need be between each cable. You can jump up and down these little platforms here just to try to give yourself some cover.
One final cable, Arbiter.
I know, I can count. Fantastic. Now, as you can see, everything just sort of stops. You can't activate the elevator quite yet. You have to wait till the roof literally comes off the house. After the loading, there we go. So, once the elevator reaches the bottom, be very quick about this. Do not ascend the ramp, just jump straight down. There is no fall damage in Halo 2, so there is literally no consequence to this. Inside this room, you've got 2 Heretic Elites and 2 Grunts. Take them out as quickly as you can, because if you don't, the Sentinels and the Flood are going to show up to engage you as well. And look, we've got a little friend. Oh god. He's my robot pal. Okay, so clearly we're under fire, so we need to try... Oh god. So we need to try to... I'm losing my focus. Okay, so cloak yourself just to try to avoid enemy fire. Again, your main goal here is to take out the enemies inside that room. That is where the Heretic leader was, and is now gone. So there should be 1 elite left in there. Now there is a Flood combat form that will show up as well, so just be aware.
Are you still alive, Arbiter?
There he is.
As best we can.
Go ahead and activate the elevator. Things are going to get a little fast-paced from here on out. Now in this room, the Flood and the Sentinels will be fighting once again. The Heretics will be on the opposite side. My recommendation is you take out the Flood and the Sentinels. Make your life just a little bit easier. On the other side, when the Heretics show up, you're going to have 1 elite with a carbine and 2 with energy swords. I have tried jumping past these guys before. Don't do it, even if you're cloaked. Trust me. I'm going to recommend just going ahead and trying to kill him. Oh, God. Really? Alright, so 1 down. Ah, of course I missed. Run. Run. Do not run into the column. Keep going. Keep going. Is he gone yet? Is he gone yet? Let's see. Nope, nope. He's still there. Cloak yourself. He will ignore you at that point. Okay, he's stuck over here, so we're just going to make a run for the exit. Should have little to no opposition at this point. When you get close to the exit, or if you feel like you're about to be under fire, cloak yourself, slip right through, and trigger the next cutscene. This is a very short Banshee ride. I have gotten lost here before, but basically you just want to quickly turn to your left and go to the opposite end of the station, in which case now we are basically doing the mission Arbiter in reverse with Flood. Great. Use your boost. There's only 1 Banshee here that will attack you, but yes, it can shred you pretty darn quickly. So waste no time, land that thing, and Master Chief style, he just crashes that thing right into the side, crawls up like a boss. And now we are back in the old part of the station where we entered the first time. The Flood, the Sentinels, the Heretics, all are going to be fighting here. You've got some Flood here with swords. Just cloak yourself, run straight past them. Most of the time they're going to be too occupied with each other to worry about you. But that doesn't mean they won't attack you. So be very aware here. And nope. You can go in this way. Try to avoid those fusion coils too, because they do blow up and they do kill you. Okay, so here's where things start getting a little bit tricky. Again, keep an eye on your radar, see if you've got any enemies approaching. The room that comes up ahead is going to be the most complicated one. You've got Flood and Heretic Elites, or Flood and Heretics just going at it. Sometimes you can catch a lucky break and just run straight to the room and cloak yourself at the end. Got those two bastards. Oh, you totally deserved it too. So basically see if the Covenant and Flood are, or I should say Heretics and Flood, are fighting each other. Kind of survey your surroundings a little bit. If you see that they're preoccupied, go ahead and jump down. And when you get close to the door, cloak yourself because it's going to be guarded by, again, Heretic Grunts and Elites. The Elites are your biggest fear here. Going to take these guys out. And now we're going to enter the boss fight with the sword, with a full carbine and fully loaded grenades. And this guy's still largely unwilling to fight his own battles.
Arbiter,
Will deploy holograms,
by your
who
hand.
curiously can do enough damage as he does. Kind of makes you wonder why the Covenant don't just deploy legions of hologram shock troops as a standard tactic.
The Oracle.
Hello, I am 343 Guilty Spark.
You are my
I am the
favorite,
monitor of Installation
bubbly little
04.
friend.
Ask the Oracle about Halo. How they would sacrifice us all for nothing.
More
Why am I
questions?
wearing a
Splendid.
nebulizer?
I would be happy to assist you.
The elites are blind, Arbiter. But I will make them see.
Them's fighting words, buddy. Why don't you just talk about my mama instead? Now this, in my opinion, is probably the toughest of the 3 boss battles in the game. As soon as the cutscene is over, cloak yourself, go through the holograms, jump up here, and make your way to the column on the far side of the room. As far as I can tell, this is also the same place where you fought this battle the first time around in the mission Arbiter. This seems to be the only place where they cannot reach you. Anywhere else in the room, I mean, this just sucks. They have jetpacks, they have dual plasma rifles, they do a significant amount of damage. One of the things that I like to do here is cloak myself and throw a grenade at, I should say, whatever enemy appears in front of you. It's hard to tell right off the bat whether or not they are holograms or it's the real deal. But one way you can tell that I've never seen mentioned before is if you shoot at them and it's a hologram, their shields sort of just freeze. Whereas if you shoot the real deal, it sort of surges like electricity, like a regular shield should. You'll notice at the beginning of the mission when the grunt shot the hologram, it didn't look like a natural shield. And so that's another way you can sort of tell which ones are real and which ones are fake. But until you shoot one, you really can't tell right off the bat. Now he moves in and out of these vents right here. There are 4 rounds to this battle. I've noticed that sometimes he gets stuck if I hide back here. Again, another bungee fail. I love you guys, but really. So sometimes to coax him out, I've noticed that I can cloak myself, walk out a little bit, and sometimes he'll get brave and come out with his hologram buddies. The first couple of rounds he can deploy up to 2 holograms. The final round he can deploy multiple holograms, so it gets a little bit trickier. So I'm going to cloak myself here, see if I can stick him. asshole. Okay, once again, he's not looking. Let's see if I can get him again. I think that's the real deal right there. I don't see any other holograms around. Sometimes they show up, sometimes they don't. That would be a hologram. So run, run, run. There are the other two. See, they were hiding. I hate it when they hide.
How did you ever make it?
Oh, come on. That should have stuck him. But anyway, again, as a standard tactic, it's good to cloak yourself and try to stick these guys. That was the real deal. You can tell you've hit him when he starts to grunt. Go ahead, load up on plasma grenades. There's plenty of them laying around. There is carbine ammo laying around too. There are plasma rifles, even though I don't recommend them for this particular battle.
Weapons, Arbiter. What was the result?
This is such an unfair battle. I will say that one method that I've seen used here is bringing the fuel rod gun from the previous mission and then hammering the vents between each round as shown by Mike Miller. The only problem with that is it does make the Arbiter mission quite more difficult, because that means you have to actually fight the aerial battle instead of quite simply skipping it. Okay, so we got the Heretic there. So now we should be entering round 4. Again, things get a little bit more hectic here. There are multiple pairs of holograms.
Transcended? Hardly. Come, Arbiter. Let me show you where they...
You know, if this guy had just taken the time to explain to Arbiter what he found instead of just shooting him, things may have worked out a little bit differently, especially considering how this game ended. And it looks like the bastard stuck again. Fantastic. What sucks about this is it basically means you kind of have to venture out into the open and take your chances. It is very easy to get surrounded by these guys here. I haven't really found a decent way of avoiding it, unfortunately.
Who taught you how to fight?
The fuel rod gun's the best method, but it does make both this mission and Arbiter just slightly more complex. And personally, I think the boss battle is easier than the rest of the mission, although it is in and of itself quite a challenge. See if I can just fire off a couple of rounds, see if maybe I can coerce him out. He probably got stuck again, or he's just really good at hiding. What a freaking coward. Come on, out in the open. When you run out of grenades, you can use your carbine to shoot him from a distance. That would be another hologram. Fantastic. Where are you? Come out of hiding. If you jump on top of the Seraph fighter, you can actually peer inside the vents and see where he's located. But that basically puts you out into the open as well. So, no, I do not recommend it. It only takes maybe half a second for those dual plasma rifles to melt you into the ground. And imagine how that's going to be when you've got multiple pairs aimed at you. So now we're pretty much just playing the waiting game. I'm going to try to be a little bit brave here, venture out of the open just a little bit, hoping either him or his hologram sort of venture out here and say, hey, Arbiter, we're going to take you out. Because this station is plummeting at God knows what speed into a giant hurricane called a maelstrom in the middle of a gas giant where none of us can breathe. Seriously, this guy hides more than I did my first time through Halo 3 on Mythic. What a frustrating battle this is. I wish there was at least a couple of other places here where you could deem yourself safe from these guys, but there really is none. It's very easy to get surrounded. They can attack you from all sides except for the floor. And they're very quick about moving around. They can flank you very easily. They have done this to me many times. My practice runs are full of fail. But again, this seems to be the best tactic to use for this particular boss fight without gypping yourself for the other two missions. I'm really hesitant here because this is the last round of one of the hardest missions of the game, and I really don't want to blow it. Alright, where are you, dude? Ah! See? Told you. Look at that. Okay, we've got a couple of, Okay, surrounded again. Cloak yourself when you can. Use the columns for cover. We're going to duck back down here. See if we can just hide for just a moment. At least they can't attack us from the ceiling, but they can flank either side. So keep an eye on your radar just to get an idea of where they are at this point if you get stuck in this position. There's at least 3 of them left. And of course, that's the hologram. So we're going to wait patiently. We're going to cloak ourselves again. We have 4 plasma grenades here, so at least we can shoot them from a distance.
Try again.
You're going to wait for the cloak to recharge. I can't tell if that's the real thing or not, but we're going to stick him anyway. And that was a hologram. There you are. Son of a bitch. Thought you could hide from me? Yes! That is Halo 2's Oracle on Legendary with no deaths.
I had no choice, Holy Oracle.
Thank you so much for watching.
Imperiled the great journey.
Please rate, comment, and subscribe.
Why do you meddlers insist on using such ineptitude?
That definitely deserves a drink.
That is the Oracle.
Stay tuned next time where we do Delta Halo. Where we'll once again be in the shoes of the Master Chief. As always, I'm the Tyrant, signing off.